Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is August 25th, and we are the Fantasy Footballers, and we're back again for another show.
We're back a lot these days.
Yeah, we're here for
Touchdown
five days a week. Touchdown Tuesday, I like that. Jason Moore's in the house.
Hi.
Mike, the Fantasy Hitman, right?
Hello.
And I'm Andy Holloway. Welcome to the show, everybody. We've got a good one for you today. We are bringing you draft day tips. So if you're about to draft, we've got some things we think you should remember to let you dominate the draft. And these don't just involve bringing Oreos to your draft.
That is the number one tip, though.
That's very important.
Super important.
All right, that's it for the show today.
Hey.
Bring Oreos to your draft.
Goodbye.
And, we have a good show for you today. We're going to hit some news and notes, talk mailbag. Like I said, talk some draft day strategy, some things that you should remember. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at the FF Ballers on Twitter. You can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. And if you've already had your draft and you want to stop by the website, we have a new product on there that is called the Ultimate Draft Report.
Ultimate.
Yeah, so when you go on the site, if you order an Ultimate Draft Report, we will personally review your draft, your team, give you all your strengths and weaknesses, an in-season action plan for how you should approach your team and what you need to improve, and we'll even grade your draft, give you a grade. It's a comprehensive draft report.
Everyone wants that grade.
I know. So hop in there. We've had people signing up for those, and we're going to get those out. We'll get it to you within a day.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know. We're going to be
right.
working overtime here. So quick question for the day. What's up with Doug Martin?
Man.
Wow.
So
he is the worst human being right now for making me start to believe in him. And my belief growing in him feels a lot like the moment where you know you've eaten too much food and you're going to be sick.
Well, he's now setting people up for disappointment.
Yeah.
When before he was just a disappointment.
Well, he had value, but now if he goes too high and ruins it, he is one of the best preseason players I can remember. Like, he did this a couple years.
He looks faster, though. I mean, we've talked so much about watching people in the preseason.
Yeah.
And saying, I mean, you have been Chris Ivory's Froyo brother for a while, and now Ivory's climbing up the boards because of it, because he's played well and he looks different.
Yeah. With Sankey the other day, I was talking about how Sankey looked good. You know, when the line opened up, he ran through it with the exact same burst that Doug Martin had. The difference was that when the line didn't open up for Sankey, he ran into guys and fell down. And when Doug Martin last night ran into a pile of guys, he squirted out the other side. I mean, there were a couple plays that were like, what? How did he come out of that?
Yeah, he's looked a lot better. And the thing about Doug Martin, where it's becoming increasingly tricky, is all preseason reports about him said he looks good, and we're skeptical. Okay, Doug Martin, he looks good again, great. But now we have 2 games of visual confirmation that he does look different than he has the past couple years.
Well, and what do you do to help a rookie quarterback?
You run the ball.
And so they looked okay yesterday, as opposed to the team that they played, which
oh man,
I mean,
wow.
Let's face it. Right now, I can't see the Bengals not doing that every 4th game and doing it in the playoffs again.
And you know what happened? What was going on with the play calling? Like, hey, let's have Andy Dalton throw the ball every freaking snap.
Well, and one of his interceptions was not his fault at all. I mean,
A.J. Green
it was
one?
the A.J. Green pick.
Correct.
And then they went through kind of like a bunch of cuts where A.J. Green has been responsible for like 7 or 8 of Dalton's interceptions.
Right.
Where he doesn't, compete for the ball at the point of when it hits. So it was just kind of a down game for them. Nothing good happened for Jeremy Hill or Gio Bernard. A.J. Green had the drop, like we said. So didn't look good for the Bengals. Good thing it's preseason. So let's go ahead and get into some news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
Yeah, it's been confirmed up in Cheeseland. Jordy Nelson is dead.
No, come on, man.
He still
This
lives.
is news and notes.
All right, Jordy Nelson, ACL tear confirmed. He will be out the entire season. And so we got to pick up the pieces. We are next man up, just like the Green Bay Packers. The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel expects Ty Montgomery to take over as the Packers' third receiver.
I can say from watching a lot of Pac-10 football that Ty Montgomery was most weeks the best player on the field at Stanford. And so he definitely has the talent. I don't think consistency is going to be part of the equation for whoever steps in that third receiver role, to be honest. I mean, Jason, you mentioned to me in the car yesterday, Richard Rodgers, the tight end position. Eddie Lacy takes a bump up. Obviously, Devontae Adams. I updated my rankings last night. He took a significant bump up. But yeah, I mean, it's been described as a gut punch to the organization, losing Jordy Nelson for the season. I think that they can pick up the pieces too. But a disappointing thing, seeing Kelvin last week, Jordy this week. The Rams announced on Monday that first-round running back Todd Gurley has been cleared for team drills at practice.
This is finally some good news. Some good news.
It's kind of exactly what we expected, though. I mean, right now is around when he should be cleared. Everyone hoping he would be back for week 1. But they've also said they're going to get him back in very slowly.
Out of Ravens camp, Ravens running back Lorenzo Taliaferro is sidelined a few weeks with an MCL sprain. This is kind of, I mean, I guess if you're a Forsett owner, you don't mind this, but I thought
very much.
I thought Taliaferro looked really good in preseason, so a bummer for that running back core. I don't know if that means Buck Allen will get more work. I mean, it should. I mean, if Taliaferro's not there, he'll get more work. So we'll have more opportunities to see what he can do. Out of Browns camp, they're talking up Duke Johnson about the idea that he'll have a big role. Crowell and Terrence West haven't done too much in preseason.
That is a mess.
Yeah, that's another tough situation to figure out.
His value is very good, though, right now because he's been out.
Duke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about Duke Johnson, so I would say draft him right now where he is at.
And then we also had Reggie Wayne sign with the Patriots shortly after yesterday's show, so he is now a New England Patriot. I want to remind people that Brandon LaFell is currently on PUP with an undisclosed injury.
Yeah, that's something that we haven't touched on really lately at all. And that's a warning because people, of course, are immediately asking, does Reggie Wayne have value? And I said, we have to be careful because the Patriots do have a history of signing aging veteran wide receivers and them not doing a single thing.
Well, I had somebody ask me yesterday, Devin Funchess or Reggie Wayne, and I'm like, that's not even close to a question for me.
No.
It's Funchess all the way. I mean, Wayne, like you just said, they might use Wayne here and there. He might not do much at all for a long time. Did you guys hear Randy Moss talking comeback yesterday?
Randy Moss, straight cash, homie.
Oh, how old is he?
He who cares? Put him out there,
Jason.
I'll take him.
Really?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say those last 2 years were just kind of nothing.
He is 38 years old, older than Reggie Wayne.
And I bet he's still faster than about 50% of the guys who play.
Maybe.
I'd take him on.
And then Mike Evans tweaked a hammy last night. I mean, anything to say about that?
Yeah, hamstring injuries are the worst, and they're very in vogue right now. I think you're not very cool.
It is the injury of the preseason.
If you haven't got a hamstring injury, you're not cool.
All right, let's talk. Well, first of all, if you are doing a mock draft, where should they go, Jason?
FantasyDraftWizard.com. It's fast, it's easy, it's free, and we want our listeners to succeed and win championships. So FantasyDraftWizard.com. Do your mock before your draft.
Yeah, that's pretty good right there. All right, let's get into the draft day tips.
Steaming hot fantasy tip.
All right, so we've got some steaming hot fantasy tips for your draft. Some things you should keep in mind when you're forming your roster this season.
This first one is very applicable
for what we just talked about. Yeah,
it's coming from the Fantasy Reaper.
Yes, coming from the Fantasy Reaper himself. All right, this one is the sneaky IR spot. All right. If your league has an IR spot, which I would say at least half the leagues do, if not more, there's certain providers that kind of don't have those in there very often. But if you have an IR spot, sneak a guy on there that has a chance to come back later in the season, and you'll buy yourself an extra bench spot. It's not complicated.
Yeah, use the spots you have. And also, for commissioners out there, I would really recommend the IR spot. You know, I think that's a valuable thing to have in a league, especially, draft season, it's a little weird. You got, us taking advantage of the rules. But in season, when your guy goes down for a little while, it's nice to be able to not have to drop him to pick someone up. So I'm a big fan of the IR. Just throwing that out there.
Who are we referring to in particular right now? Arian Foster.
Yep.
And an update on Foster yesterday, the news sounds a little more hopeful of a after week 4 return. They're not putting him on IR, designated to return.
That's great.
So who knows? But he's a guy who will be listed as out. It depends on your IR spot rules, but for certain providers, all they have to do is be out, and you can sneak him right on that IR spot.
What about a guy like Geno Smith?
No.
You wouldn't do it?
No. Not enough value.
Yeah, so if there's a guy that's going to come back in a few weeks, you can buy yourself an extra bench spot by sneaking them onto the IR. I've done this in years past with Andre Brown of the New York Giants in years past.
Yes.
And he came back and gave me some playoff week running back games, and it didn't cost me much of anything. So what's the next little draft day tip for people?
So a tip, which is a personal favorite of mine, is running backs rule. Constantly when we were grading everyone's mocks months ago or whenever, people were doing that constantly. My number one tip will be you don't have enough running back depth. People think that 4 running backs, I'm covered at depth, and because I have 2 starters and 2 late round guys who could turn into something, running backs, it's a factual information. They get hurt more than any other position, so you need to have a good amount of them on your bench. I like to have my rule of thumb. I will never have more wide receivers than running backs.
And not to mention, what you can pick up in the waiver wire after the draft is vastly different when you compare running backs to wide receivers. You've got to get them in the draft. We talked about Leonard Hankerson last week and the value that he provides, and maybe you can get him late because he's free. But then it dawned on me, I probably wouldn't draft him right now, but he's just one of many people in his tier that even after the draft is done and all your flyers on all rosters are filled out, you still got quality guys on the waiver. You are not going to have that with running backs. So at the draft, make sure you stock up on them.
And I've heard the reasoning of, backup running backs are easy to find in the waiver because if a guy gets hurt, you know exactly who to target. You and 11 other people in your league know exactly who to target. Have them on your bench before the injury happens.
Yeah, that's a very good rule, and obviously it changes if your league format is vastly different. But at the same time, the position scarcity doesn't really change for running backs. So they are a valuable commodity, and as we saw this week, wide receivers get hurt too.
Yeah.
So people have feelings.
So running backs get hurt, and people think that they're the only ones, but no, not the case.
They're all humans.
So eye of the tiger here. What is the eye of the tiger? No.
Was that Katy?
That was Katy Perry.
That was the Katy Perry version
of
Eye of the Tiger.
I do have a daughter, and factual information in that music video, there is a tiger named Kitty Purry.
Oh,
Kitty
my
Purry.
goodness.
That's a pro tip.
Moving along.
Pro tip.
Here's how you draft.
Gross.
Here is how you draft with the eye of the tiger. You look at other rosters in your league while you're drafting. If you're using the software, before you make your pick, go and click, if you're in an online one, click through the other rosters and be like, especially when it comes to the single-digit roster positions like tight ends, quarterbacks. Even I guess defenses are going to be at the very end of the draft, so they don't matter.
What I often do to make it easy and quick, because sometimes people can't really monitor every team, obviously. That's a hard thing to do during the draft while paying attention to your list. But like Jason said, I'll just have team names down, and I'll have QBs written down and tight ends written down, and I'll just cross them off. 1, 2, 3. And then what happens is if you're like us and you wait for tight ends and quarterbacks, and you know the guys drafting behind you, you can see, 2 teams left don't have a starting quarterback. 1 team left doesn't have a starting quarterback, which lets you decide which round to draft those guys a little bit easier.
And it also allows you to play probability of, say you're at pick, I don't know, you're towards the edge of a draft, and there's 2 guys you like a running back and a wide receiver. Take a look at what teams are rostering and knowing that maybe there's going to be a little mini run on wide receivers here, so there's a higher probability that the running back I like makes it back.
Well, and it's a lot easier when you're at a specific spot in the draft where you only need to look at the 2 teams between this pick and the next pick. So look at those 2 teams, and your draft will work out a lot better.
All right, I want to take a break. We got 3 more that we want to share with you, but I want to talk a little bit about Topps Huddle. Topps Huddle. Now, I grew up...
The app,
yeah. Now, I grew up collecting cards
who
like
didn't?
A crazy person.
Who didn't?
Basically, all my best memories for things like Christmas morning when I woke up and got a box of sports cards and got to open those beautiful packs and see what insert cards they got and all that stuff. That was like one of my best memories as a kid.
Yeah, I'm completely with you.
And now Topps has brought that hobby to the digital world with their app, Topps Huddle.
Exactly, the magic of collecting the cards. Now Huddle, they feature officially licensed NFLPA. You think Aaron Rodgers has a dreamy face? Wait till you see him on that iPhone screen. My goodness,
Retina.
He is gleaming at you in high definition. But you get to open the packs, and they've created a very satisfying experience when you open those packs, and you get the rare cards. You get that rare Andrew Luck card, and your phone
Get that
shakes.
JJ Watt in there.
Yeah, and your heart quakes, and it's really an exciting experience when you open up the packs.
And the cool thing about Topps Huddle is that it's not just opening and collecting
and trading.
Yeah, and trading. But in addition to all of that, they actually have made it into a fantasy football game. So you can during the real games, when the games are going, the cards you have, you can play them and earn points based on how the players perform every game day. So you're actually getting a little bit of fantasy football with your card collection. It's kind of taking card collection to the next level. I'm looking forward to week one.
And basically, if you like collecting cards, you want to check this out, you have to check it out. Topps Digital, they've opened 300 million packs have been opened with that Topps Huddle app.
That's a lot.
Since they started in 2012. And so basically a pack a second gets opened on there. So it's really satisfying, really fun. You can download it for free right now in the App Store, and you get 10 free packs.
Yeah, or Google Play as well.
Yep,
and
Google Play as well.
I am super stoked to play my teams, to play against my friends in some digital card trading magic. The thing I'm also very excited for, live NFL.
Is that coming?
Real football.
And I'm not talking just the television, which is a great experience. Live. There's not much like going to an actual NFL game.
No doubt about it. And so we want to tell you about the SeatGeek app. It is the single best app to get the most amazing deal on football tickets. So a lot of the times you want to bring the family, you want to bring some friends. You know, it costs a pretty penny to go to a football game these days. But if you check out the SeatGeek app, you can find the absolute best deal. And it's an awesome app. You can go on there, search for your favorite team, order tickets at the very best price, and we're giving you some free money today.
Yeah, they have really unique things that are exclusive to the SeatGeek app. One of the things that Andy's kind of talking about is, you know, when you go flying and you got to search all those different sites for the best airplane rate, this is what SeatGeek does. They actually take from hundreds of different other places where people are selling their tickets, and it's like a one-stop shop. That's one of the cool exclusive things of SeatGeek. So if you want the best deal on tickets, use SeatGeek. Also, they make it really easy in the app. There's a deal score thing where when you're looking in the app, there's a color code to what the best deal is. So it's like, oh, this is the best deal, and you just look at the big green circle or whatever, and it's like, and you look and you compare those, and it's so quick and easy to get it. And you can do that through the app itself. Download the app or do it online.
And here's what you do. You download the free SeatGeek app. You enter the promo code Footballers in the SeatGeek app. They give you $20, man. $20 to use on some tickets.
Yeah, I love it because it'll mean going to more than just one or two games this year. It'll mean going to a bunch of them. So check that out, the SeatGeek app. Let's get back into some of these draft day tips. So the next one here is don't forget about me.
I wanted to sing again.
Go ahead.
Don't you?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Forget about me.
All right. So this one comes with the warning. When we say don't forget about me, we're talking kickers and defenses. I'm not
First
saying
round, baby.
I'm not saying go Oakland Raiders selecting Janikowski in the first round. No,
wait for the second for him.
you're still looking the last two rounds of the draft, but have an eye on a group of teams that have a great week one matchup. Off the top of my head, I know the Jets have a great matchup. The Bengals, even though they looked a little rough, they played the Raiders, who these are good matchups. You don't need a top tier defense right out of the gate. You can just worry about the week one matchup.
Check this out. We actually did the work for you. We've got an article we're posting on the site today that has the week one matchups for the best defense week one matchups for you to pay attention to. So this is kind of the key. You know, people wonder, someone asked me the other day, like, how much does strength of schedule matter right now?
Yeah, we actually get asked about that a lot.
Do you assemble your team based on strength of schedule in the playoffs right now? And I said no. because you don't actually know what the strength of schedule is going to be like. It looks fine on paper, but teams, I mean, there's a high turnover of good and bad teams every year in the NFL. But week one strength of schedule with defenses is something you can pay a little bit of attention to.
For sure. Week one in defenses matters. That's probably the more important thing than getting the best defense is getting a defense that, I mean, we're going to stream the position here at the Fantasy Footballers. If you listen through the year, you're going to get the advice as to which defenses to pick up. So start with one good. And also when it comes to auction drafts, people, forget that you can nominate a kicker or a defense. Nominate Seattle early so that people overspend for a defense.
Yes.
We're so used to pushing them to the end. But, sometimes if you actually want one of those yourself and you nominate them for like
a buck,
nobody wants to bid more. And so you just get the best guy because you were the first one.
It's kind of win-win.
Yeah.
If you nominate him early. And make sure you pay attention to Vegas, too. This is something we've talked about on the show a little bit with some guests. Look to Vegas. Look at those over-under numbers for defenses.
And I have a question for you guys of how do you like to go about getting a kicker? Do you like a kicker on a high-scoring offense, or do you like a kicker on a team that struggles in the red zone?
I almost always, personally, go for the high-profile offense.
And I am agreed. Always, always, always. I want the better offense.
It seems a lot easier to predict a team that averages a lot of points than it is a team that, they're going to struggle in the red zone.
But they're going to move to the red zone a lot.
But those teams do surface.
Yeah.
No, they do. You're right.
And those are the kickers that I try and find with years back that
have done
in
that.
Seattle.
I feel like Baltimore, Justin Tucker has been a situation like that where,
right.
I mean, I guess they've been high profile at
That's
times,
also something that matchup streaming can do. Like I remember the Patriots for a while were a quintessential bend don't break defense. And so they would let people move the ball, but they just couldn't punch it in.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
But Steve Gostkowski is the only one that's been predictable for years. All right, let's talk about avoiding the runs, something that
we
Jason
should all do. We should always avoid the runs.
You know what you need? You need your fantasy Imodium.
That's right. What is that?
Fantasy Imodium. So in every draft, we've all
been there.
It's a new
app. No, I'm just kidding.
You find it in the grocery store under the adult diaper section.
So how do you avoid the runs? What are we talking about
here?
You
avoid the runs. We've all been in a draft where all of a sudden you don't have a tight end yet, and 3 tight ends just went off the board in front of you, and you're going, oh man, do I have to grab one? Is he going to be back? And so you and many other people in your league oftentimes fall into the run, and so you just take them based on fear. How do you avoid it? Because sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes you have to pay attention and grab them. But how you do a good job is by having your players based in tiers, not just rankings. So you've got your rankings of players, but you need to actually look and say, look, this group of guys, these 10 guys are all about the same to me. They're going to score the same. I might like this guy more than that guy as a tiebreaker, but this group of, 12 through 22, I'm happy with all of these specific guys. And so that means when you're in the middle of a run, you go, oh, there's still like 7 guys left in here. I can wait till next round. Or you can go and see, oh, there are only 2 guys left that I'm fine with. So I can tight ends. Tight end runs happen every draft. And the truth is, when you tier your guys, you're going to see that almost everybody's the same after the top few. And so don't get fearful in those runs and don't draft a guy just based on other people's drafting. You're playing into their strength.
Yes, tiers allows you to draft with the strength of Antonio Gates from his suspension, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know what you're talking about.
So strength.
They're draft PEDs.
Strength is, there you go. Tiers is like a drafting PED. That's exactly what I was trying to say. This is how I've been approaching my drafts for years. It has had great success for me, and it like Jason said, it really lets you know, okay, I don't have to freak out here. I know that everyone's snaking up a quarterback,
don't get caught up in it.
I can still wait right here.
All right, let's go to the next draft day tip here. Stream it like it's hot.
Stream it like it's hot.
We're talking
a song.
You didn't know I had that in there, did you?
No, I didn't. I'm so disappointed right now.
We've got...
That was the best we could come up with.
Dude, I got to get through these.
That sounds like a...
Stream it like it's hot.
Stream it like it's hot.
Sounds like an STD.
Whoa.
Really?
No, it does not.
No, it does not.
No, you're crazy. All
well,
right,
what is streaming like it's hot?
Quarterbacks and tight ends. We're talking about the merits and benefits of streaming these positions in your league. Now, the biggest point that we like to make, and we are going to repeat it as you draft, is position scarcity matters. Quarterbacks are not position scarce. You are normally in a league, and now that changes if you're in a 2-quarterback league, but most leagues are 1 quarterback, which means 10 to 12 quarterbacks are being started every week. That does not make a scarce position. However, running backs, you got 2 to 3 with the flex position starting. That's like 36 guys. So
You're good at math.
I know. I'm real quick. I stream it like it's hot. Now,
no.
quarterbacks and tight ends are both positions you start one of. And so we advocate. Now, obviously, this is a value thing. Sometimes if a really great quarterback, if an Andrew Luck is sitting there at a high value position where you're not reaching for him, go ahead and take him. We're not saying don't take him. In fact, if you like playing the way you play with drafting quarterbacks early, do that too. But for us, we like waiting because of the position scarcity. I'd rather have a combination later in the draft of a Matt Ryan and a Teddy Bridgewater, or a Ryan Tannehill and an Eli Manning, and play matchups with the 2 guys. Now, somebody sent me a message the other day and said, well, my league has 7 bench spots, so streaming isn't really viable.
Sure.
So do you buy that?
Yeah,
'Cause I don't.
I can buy that. If here's where it is viable and isn't viable. It's not a matter of how many bench spots. It's how many quarterbacks are on those bench spots. Because if people are in that league are using those bench spots just to take up extra running back and wide receivers, then stream the position. You have to know your league. But if there are, if every team has 2 quarterbacks on their roster, then it gets a little bit tougher. You're now looking at, QB 25 on the waiver.
Yeah, and in one of my main leagues, we have a huge bench, and I found streaming quarterbacks a little bit more difficult. I was still able to find 1 to 2 guys who I loved for a matchup per week, but my advice for a bench that big, just draft 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So where I usually, if I have a 5
That's
bench,
exactly what I said.
and I'm agreeing with you. If I have a 5 bench, I'm probably just going to hold 1 quarterback. I'm not going to care. I know that a couple teams will hold 2, but there'll be plenty of guys on the wire. If I have 7 bench spots, then I'm going to take 2 guys, and then I can compare the matchups with who I have.
And if you don't have Aaron Rodgers or Andrew Luck,
You lose.
No. That's in the real NFL. We're talking about.
Yeah, in fantasy, if you don't have those 2 guys this year, streaming and playing matchups will be a benefit to you no matter who else you have at times through the year. So listen through the year. We're going to every week have our picks of quarterbacks to pick up. And so...
Well, because that's the question is, okay, I got to stream quarterbacks, but which guys? And so that's part of the key to listening to the show, is that we're going to tell you which guys we like for this week.
Yeah,
Each and every week.
We absolutely are going to do that. And if you have some more questions on it, just go back. I think last week we talked about quarterbacks, and we talked at length about this.
So let's go ahead and get into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
All right.
Like
we're gonna...
a tiger.
No? Katy Perry. Say,
Kitty
You're
Perry.
having a weird show today, Mike. I just want to say that.
It was a weird morning.
You okay? Did you get your coffee?
I did. That's probably the problem. It was too
You're
much.
a little too hyped
A little
up?
too much
Wait,
coffee.
did you have the Starbucks experience again?
No. Oh, geez.
Where you have to wait in line and you get
thankfully-
like performance anxiety on ordering?
Thankfully, I was not out at home when I was not thrust into that uncomfortable position of weird words and ordering coffee, and I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah. So, all right, mailbag time. If you have a question, go to the website, click the submit a question button. We're happy to answer as many as humanly possible. You can also call us 302-464-TFFB. We are here to help. And actually today, if you've submitted a question, you haven't got an answer from us, rest assured there are a lot of questions that have been submitted, but we're going to do a little blitz today. We're going to try to get through a bunch of those, and so hopefully you can hear back from us today. If not, we're sorry, but we're doing our best to get through them and help you out. This one comes in from John in Charles.
Did you write that right?
I pasted it.
John
in Charles. So that must be a city.
Yeah.
As opposed to like Jamal.
I feel like you left off the in charge part.
Oh, man. John in Charles in charge?
Was there a John on the show?
No.
I remember that show. Do you know that theme song?
Charles in charge. Come on.
I know. I just had to have
That's
you
my
sing
job.
it, not me. All right, first off, love the show. He's listened to every single episode. He said he asked C.J. Anderson on his team. He's thinking he needs to handcuff him with Hillman, just in case. So should he drop either Bernard, Brashad Perryman, or Charles Johnson to sign Hillman, or does he wait? This is a tough question.
I think you do drop someone. I'm surprised if these are the 2 worst guys on your roster that you can drop, that you don't have anybody else. But I do think if you have C.J. Anderson right now, you should have a handcuff there. So for me, I think it's worth dropping either one of those guys if you have to, because you've got the other.
There's 3 guys. Gio Perryman, and Charles Johnson.
So which of those three do you drop?
I would drop Perriman right now.
That's what I would probably do too.
I would agree, and we're not saying everyone needs to have handcuffs. Don't handcuff every single running back, but that offense Hillman would be great if Anderson unfortunately went down.
Well, and we don't really know. We haven't seen CJ for an entire season. We think he's got what it takes, but you kind of have some doubt. So I think it's worth grabbing Hillman because Hillman's look good. So let's go to a voicemail question from an old friend.
Hey, yo, it's Tony Meatballs. I just did my Drizzy draft, and I just got 2 rookies in my starting lineup. I was wondering how you guys feel about having 2 rookies in your lineup starting week 1. I got Nelson Aguilar. That dude's my boy. I'm actually going to start a hype train from. Tony Meatball hype train, Nelson Aguilar. That's it. Get you guys. We're gonna start a train up. And I also got Abdullah. I was wondering how you feel about having those 2 rookies in the lineup, and I'm pumped for the season. I'm really, really pumped. I'm going to listen to you guys, and we're going to win me a championship.
That's the goal.
Out.
I like how he said his name was plural today. He's Tony Meatballs. It was that was nice. Thanks, Tony. He's growing.
Is he excited?
I think so. He's really excited for the Abdullah. The AA.
Aguilar?
I think it's Aguilar. Somebody correct us on that.
They do every single show.
Yeah, every single show, and they say it's Aguilar.
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 No, that's not correct.
Aguilar.
I looked up the pronunciation and I couldn't read the pronunciation. That's what I did. It's
feel like
Aguilar is the way I read it.
I was making lasagna last night. I think I put some Aguilar on my
Oh
lasagna.
my gosh, I love Aguilar on top of my spaghetti.
Yeah, all pasta needs Aguilar.
Wait, are we going to answer Tony Meatball's question?
Yes. So Abdullah, completely on board.
Would you want to start 2 rookies though?
That is
because he said in the lineup.
Yeah, I would say
I would be afraid.
It's not just a rookie like grand sweeping question of rookies. Because if you say 2 rookies, I'm immediately a little bit nervous. Those are 2 pretty good rookies to start with. Everything's pointing to Aguilar, lasagna man, getting a starting role up in Philadelphia. So I would be okay with it. Okay.
I love both of these players, but I am drafting both of these players as backups on my fantasy roster. I expect them to be starters at some point and get in there. But week 1,
not a flex play.
Well, I mean, yeah, depending on where. If you're taking him in the 5th, he's probably going to have to be a flex, but certainly not both, right? But my hope when I go into a draft is to grab either one of these guys as a backup, or at worst a flex, and they're obviously not both going to be.
All right, help me out. Help Nate out here. Nate is in Michigan. He said, pick 2 keepers. It is a 10-man PPR league. C.J. Anderson, DeMarco Murray, Calvin Johnson.
Oof.
PPR 10-man league. C.J., DeMarco, Calvin.
Oof, man. That's
rough.
I'm going to go Anderson, Calvin Johnson.
You have any differences there, Jason?
No, I think I'm going to go the same. I was
so much conviction you couldn't even.
These 3 guys, if you want to take any combination of those 3 guys, I would have no beef with that. That's why I was comparing every single combo, but that's what I would.
He
go
has
with
a good
decision.
decision.
C.J. Anderson and Calvin Johnson.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Kevin in Huntington Beach said, "Buenos dias.
Bonjour."
I drafted Jordy Nelson. Now he's hurting with his team's depth. He was offered Devontae Adams, Ryan Matthews, and Allen Robinson for AJ Green. It's hard not knowing the rest of your roster. I would probably take it too.
Really?
I would take it.
I mean, Allen Robinson plus Adams, and then you get Matthews thrown in just for AJ Green.
I misread the first player.
Adams, Matthews, Robinson for AJ Green. Obviously, you can't see the rest of the roster, but if he's hurting, I do it.
Yeah, I don't know. You guys saw AJ Green tip that interception. He stinks, right? Right?
No, AJ Green's going to be incredible.
They showed clips of him doing it a bunch of times, though. He's really bad.
No. I think this is a good trade to do, though. I mean, most of the time you want the best player back in a trade, but when you suffer injury, a lot of the times you need to reassemble your team. So for me personally, this is a half-point PPR. You pick up Allen Robinson in a half-point PPR. You pick up Devontae Adams, who should be able to replace Nelson at least to a 80% or something like that.
And Ryan Matthews could be a steal of the draft.
And you pick up a DeMarco Murray voodoo doll.
Oh, yeah, you get that in the deal too. So what is your take, Mike? Are you doing this?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
All right. I want to remind everybody about Fantasy Draft Wizard. If you want to do your mock draft, check that out, fantasydraftwizard.com. Check out the Ultimate Draft Report on the website. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
Also, let me just say this, because our Foot Clan listeners are the best and we love them so much. Maybe check out jointhefoot.com. Maybe just check it out. jointhefoot.com.
There you go. Check out our YouTube channel. We've got lots going on there. Every episode is on the YouTube channel.
The YouTube channel?
The YouTube channel.
It just sounded funny. It was like the internet's.
Yeah, it's on the internet.
Facebooks.
Yeah, you can watch us.
The YouTube.com.
They can watch you be crazy.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.